Oh, you are so not ready.
Make sure you guys get your blue and gold setters for the boys' shirts, BarstoolSports.com. You know, they haven't sold out yet, which I'm really going to put on you guys. Not buying enough. It's probably because only 300 people watched our video first week, but...
I think it's because they're Michigan colored, not Notre Dame colored.
That too. Michigan does stink this year. Anyways, first topic. If you guys aren't following us vividly on Twitter, you're missing out. Because some of the best comments on Twitter are when college football teams lose and their fans go insane. So this past week we had NC State and Penn State both blow up in wild ways, and it was really something entertaining. Most notably with Penn State just calling Georgia out for a lot of terrible things.
Incest.
Incestual relations.
Keyword there was incest. Was it prompted? No. Was it called for? Still no. Was it easy to chirp back at? Oh yes. Georgia's tweet back then blew up. What was it? Nearing 20,000 favorites now, or
20,000 favorites. Only 5,000 retweets. So it was a tough tweet for Georgia.
So
yeah,
semi-viral?
I hate to see it. I mean,
it actually,
you could do better.
Despite the fact that Penn State has 3 times as many followers, Georgia had a better tweet than any of Penn State's tweets ever. So
Penn State's Twitter, actually bad.
It's actually good, but
it's for you guys to decide.
Other news: NC State's Twitter is bad.
Yikes! Old take exposed right there with the They just kept tweeting stuff at us, and we kept saying, "You guys sure you want to do this? Like, respect the chirping, but like, are you sure this is the route you want to take?" We all knew we weren't losing that game. Like,
I feel like we made a pretty smart decision with like calling our shot with the old takes exposed. I feel like this was
sure.
If there was a week to do it, this was the week. Like, it's a big team, big game, but like we knew where we stood, and we knew that NC State couldn't hang.
Just was not a tweet that aged well for NC State.
No, and just the amount of mentions we got off of those tweets, like, because it was NC State, Barstool was, you know, they were trash talking. That's what they do. But man, these NC State fans are a little delusional. I don't think people understand what being in a conference means versus not being in a conference means. There was all kinds of interesting takes about Notre Dame's football history compared to NC State's, which they were convinced theirs was a lot better than ours.
Beyond that, I have never seen a more confident, misguided fan base. Like, they were so assured that they were correct, and we were just so silly and stupid for our opinions about them. And they're hitting us with stuff like, oh, but yeah, Notre Dame's in the past, NC State's building for the future, when our recruiting class is substantially better than theirs. And they're like, oh, then it's the coaching. Who coaches NC State? Do you know? Do you know? We're pretty well informed, and we have no idea who their coach is.
Did Brendan Chubb even play?
He did.
Wow, that was not...
Little insertion into our schedule here.
Always insert that Chubb.
Brendan Chubb was the topic of focus for NC State's Twitter this week. Everybody had him pinned as the guy who was going to stop Josh Adams for the first time this year.
And that happened.
He actually had 1 tackle for loss. It happened on the 3rd play of the game. Besides that, I did not hear his name.
Off to a great start.
Yeah, I didn't even mean that like as an offensive thing to say. Like, I genuinely thought he didn't play. Like, so, I mean, congrats, NC State. You're like big deal D lineman. Basically didn't have an impact.
But he had tackle for loss, so that is bigger than our entire defense, really. So like, because it's not like we had a pick 6.
We didn't. We were offsides apparently.
Oh no, actually that was one of my proudest follower moments. Someone slowed it down and showed that the center actually had a ball infraction, which they should have been penalized for.
I love the whole offensive line just deciding, fuck our quarterback. We don't need this. This is important to us. And then the pick 6. That was just felt like such a fundamental pick 6.
You know, typically when you have a free play, it's a free play, so you still play the play. You don't wait for the flag to come in. I don't know what happened.
It was a free play for Notre Dame.
Yeah, and it worked out well.
Went pretty well. I'd say that was quite the momentum shift for the game as well.
And then I don't know, like, just to finish up the Twitter beef, you know.
Oh yeah.
We did. There was a tweet, you know, congratulating NC State for staying ranked in the AP poll, which doesn't really mean anything anymore. But regardless,
rip in peace, AP.
Hoping that, you know, they beat Clemson and continue to make our strength of schedule look really good. Clemson didn't take that very well.
Oh, Clemson responded poorly. Barstool Clemson, what is their at?
At Barstool.
At Barstool.
At Barstool Clemson.
Original.
I'm getting salty. They were not feeling it, and that was just. We'll be going back at them again. Don't worry. But that whole argument, it just didn't feel like trash talk. It just felt like we kept calling each other out for semantics, which not great for the brand. But they started it, so.
And like we were right most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna be correct, you gotta be correct.
Anyways, worse than any Clemson argument was the NC State arguments about our independence. NC State fans thought that the fact that we didn't join a conference meant that our schedule is definitively worse
And
than everyone else in the country.
The worst part was that Clemson jumped in on that. Like the Clemson fans were very adamant that we were too afraid to play them every year, and that we wouldn't compete in the ACC if we had joined. I don't even know how to respond to that.
I do.
Is the music still playing?
Oh my god!
I'm gonna turn that off. Can we do something about it? Is that a problem?
I mean, you're probably gonna hear it.
Good stuff.
Woo! We're professionals, folks.
Yes.
Live studio audience didn't even notice, so that's nobody's fault.
I mean, my headphones are on, but
Alright, quiet offset. Offset? Oh, I have to leave.
It's almost funnier that we were that oblivious.
We can almost have the bit where we realize that the music is on. Just,
we will.
yeah.
Brian's gonna do whatever it takes to make us look like idiots.
But
Back to the point. Independence.
Go ahead, Pat.
Notre Dame's ACC schedule this year is actually better than any ACC team's ACC schedule this year. 80% of the ACC teams we play are above 500.
And are 80% of all ACC teams above 500?
No.
Obviously not.
We definitely got lucky too. Like
We did get lucky.
There was a couple.
BC and Wake Forest make the cut, so.
There were a couple comments about playing the bottom of the ACC. That is not to say we are currently playing the bottom of the ACC, but in years past, our weakest opponents have been mandatory ACC opponents from our deal with the ACC joining in.
I would remind you, however, that next year we do have Clemson and Florida State on our schedule.
Which is exciting.
Exciting, because they're bad.
Both of them. Both
Mostly.
of them bad.
Mostly.
Bottom of the ACC.
Bottom of the ACC, especially Florida State.
Definitely Florida State. Not so
They
much
will likely go 3-8 this year, so make sure that every Florida State fan you know hears about it for the next 8 months.
Let them know that they were actually worse than us last year.
Yep.
Shame on FSU. I think the big other takeaway that they kept coming at us for was that we're afraid to play in an ACC championship game because that is such a monumental game that gets people into the playoff.
Historic, really. It actually
huge.
did get Clemson. Actually, it has gotten somebody to the playoff every year. So
Is it really?
yeah, because at Florida State and then Clemson the last 2 years.
But would they?
But no. But
is
like,
that
would
why they're in though?
That's not why they're in. No.
Yeah,
Did
no.
it keep anybody else from getting in?
No.
So why is that a monumental game, and why should we care about playing in it?
Because it means that if we played in that game, we wouldn't get to play Stanford or USC or Michigan State or Georgia.
Oh, and those
or
aren't
like Michigan next year or any
Michigan,
other great
those aren't
teams.
Or
historic or
Wisconsin,
important games.
or Ohio State.
Any of
Yeah.
those great Big Ten teams
Yeah.
that we
So
have
to
old-time rivalries with.
Yeah. So to conclude, we should probably be in the ACC moving forward.
One final note, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But one final note is everybody seems to harp on the fact that we play Navy every year, which is really the thing that I understand the least. Navy is over 500 year in and year out. They have a good football team, and keeping them on our schedule is historic. I don't know why you need to talk about the fact that we played them. They're just another good team that we play.
And they also, they literally kept our school open back in World War II, so, we're cool with them.
What's happening?
He's dead! What's wrong with him? Is he drunk?
He just looks dead. That didn't look comfortable.
Okay, so we're filming this before the rankings come out, but you'll be seeing it after the rankings come out, so we'll be giving you tomorrow's rankings today, or more likely Tuesday's rankings today.
Who knows when you're going to see this? We're going to give you some predictions.
Where does Notre Dame fall? Andrew, where do we fall on Tuesday? Or
Where does he think we should fall, or where are we going to fall?
where did we fall?
4.
4?
Yeah, we're sneaking in at 4.
Definitively wrong.
Think we're better. I think they will put us over Wisconsin.
I believe that we should be 3.
Well, okay. It's either they do the whole, they love Ohio State thing and Ohio State's above us, or they do the whole Wisconsin's still unbeaten thing and Wisconsin's above
There's
us.
not a prayer. Wisconsin's going to be 7 or 8. 7 or 8.
Either way, I think one of those two Big Ten teams will be above us, and we will be number 4 with Georgia and Alabama.
It's not goaltending. Carl Anthony Towns is a bad man.
That's wrong. So you're entitled to your wrong opinion, but we will be no lower than 3. Everything points towards this team being the most dominant team outside of Alabama and Georgia.
All right, hold on, wait. What are your top 4? Run through them.
Top 4.
Who do you have in your top 4, and who do you think they'll have in their top 4?
Who do I have in my top 4? Georgia, us, Bama, Clemson. Who is their top 4 going to be? Georgia, Bama, us, Ohio State.
All right. My top 4 is Georgia. It's Georgia, Notre Dame. I gotta say Clemson, Bama. I think that's what you said, right?
Yeah.
I
switched,
agree.
Yeah, I switched Bama and Clemson.
I've got Clemson above Bama. Bama hasn't beaten anybody. I think they're gonna put Georgia, Bama, us, Clemson, possibly PSU sneaking in there.
I think that you guys are naming like the top 6. I just don't think I agree on the order.
So what are your top
I think
4?
it's going to be top 4 of Georgia, Bama. Probably I'm gonna put at Ohio State, us, and then Clemson and PSU can fight for 5 and 6. I don't know which is which.
Who should it be?
For 5 and 6?
Who should it be
Oh,
for?
who do I want it to?
Yeah.
Who I think it should be? I think Georgia has earned being number 1 over Bama. I think that Bama still gets 2, if only because it's a Saban-led team, and like if you watch, even though they
Saban or Satan?
both. Even if they haven't played anyone, just simply by watching them play the product on the field by the eye test, they look incredible. I think we're number 3 genuinely, and then number 4 probably Penn State. Number 5 Clemson, and then Ohio State 6.
Wow. So you don't think that the committee puts in Ohio State over Penn State?
No. I said
You think that Penn State's above Ohio State?
Personally, that was my personal list.
Wow.
Look, man, like
I think we're
People
sleeping on
can ha-
Syracuse.
people can have off.
Syracuse. I think we're sleeping on Iowa State.
Iowa State is definitely getting slept on, but
Iowa State.
They're
I
not
believe
getting-
they will be in the top 10. Almost certainly, they may be the highest-ranked Big 12 team.
let's
Tomorrow.
go. Who are Iowa
Honestly,
State?
you heard it here first. Iowa will be the top-ranked
Iowa
Big 12
State.
team
Iowa?
tomorrow.
Or Iowa State?
Iowa State, the Cyclones. They went 3-9 last year. Just a reminder, they were ranked for the first time since 2005. That's 13 years.
2 losses?
What's their current rank? What is their schedule? Wow, I can't speak. What is
Their record 7-2.
2 losses.
7-2.
Best
Two loss teams into the top 10.
Best 2-loss team in the country?
Best 2-loss team in the country.
one of the best resumes in the country, despite their 2 losses?
Yeah, I mean they
True top
They
3
lost. They lost in 3 overtimes to Iowa in a heartbreaker rivalry game. And
That's
then,
rough.
And
That's a bad look.
then they ran into a mad Texas team coming off a loss to USC, and they look bad.
Those are 2 bad losses.
Those are 2 bad losses.
However, that Iowa game is a lot like the Oklahoma game last year against Texas that they lost in the Red River rivalry, and they still got into the playoff.
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh wait, they didn't make it that year.
No.
But still, it was like they stayed really highly ranked. I think there is some respect for the concept of a rivalry.
Iowa State wins out. They have a case to be a top 6 team.
I think Iowa State wins out. They might sneak into the playoff.
It depends on how everything else shakes out.
Big
If there's a bunch of 2, if there are
They are the best 2-loss team though.
yes,
Iowa State is by far the best 2-loss team. They're in over any Pac-12 team. Right
that's
now,
fair.
guaranteed.
Do they sneak in over a Power 5 1-loss team?
It depends who it is. Depends who it is. Last thing, who's the lowest ranked undefeated team tomorrow, and where do they fall? So honestly, I think UCF is ahead of Miami. I think Miami's gonna fall at like 12. UCF will be at 11.
I think UCF ends up being the lowest. I just
UCF's
don't.
lowest.
I don't think they have any case over Miami, despite Miami not having much of a case of themselves either. And it's a better program, Miami in general. So I think that they get the benefit of the doubt on that one.
I think I'm gonna go with Sean on this. Just like from a pure history standpoint, people are gonna give Miami more respect.
Which feels hypocritical to what we've been saying, but
Yeah, but I mean, it's like this. Like the committee's made out of humans. It's not like the old computer rankings. So like those kind of biases actually play in, and it's just like neither. I don't think either of them have any big wins. Like, did UCF beat anyone?
They beat Navy. They beat Memphis. Memphis
So,
beat UC.
these don't feel like traditional like
Versus-
Power 5 wins.
And
you know?
they've been running over teams. Whereas
Right.
Miami beat a 1-8 UNC team by 5.
That's rough. Yeah, that one was rough.
That's a bad
I
one.
don't know that Miami's there yet. I think everybody's like, Miami's back, and we love to say Notre Dame is back, but I think Miami's still got a year or two before they're back.
Shout out Chief with probably the best comment in the Undefeated
sure.
blog. If you don't read it, go back, read it next year, read it every year. He said
Best blog every year.
He said that Miami's just a bad team every year because they win a couple games and everyone gets on their hype train. Miami's back. Yeah, they're the only team that people do that for. So
Yeah,
No one else does that.
no one else does that. So
Definitely not for a certain blue and gold.
Miami's not
We're
bad.
all on the same page.
Um,
They're not back yet.
unfortunately for NC State, this past weekend, the highlight of the game was not on the field.
No.
It was actually in the stands. There was a large crowd of Steve Jobses. Wild.
I think that's a great look for the Notre Dame fan base, the university as a whole. I like that we're rallying around a figure like Steve Jobs. That's innovation. That's moving into the future. I think that's what Notre Dame is doing right now. And I think that's what the fans were trying to tell us.
I think it represents more of the money of Notre Dame. He was one of the richest people. People forget that. And Notre Dame has a lot of money. People also forget that.
We're well endowed.
Wasn't he a greedy asshole?
No.
We love Steve Jobs.
No.
We do?
No.
We love Steve Jobs.
We're pro Steve Jobs.
Huge Steve Jobs guy.
But-
What are your thoughts on Steve Jobs?
I don't
And
know.
this will be treated as slander.
I don't know. I mean, like, I own an iPhone. I like iPhones. The dude's dead. Like, who cares?
Ooh.
Yo, it's 2016. We can't talk about that.
What are your thoughts on people dressing up as a dead dude?
Yeah, have you ever
It's
dressed
a
up
poor
as a president?
It's in poor taste.
It's in
So
poor taste.
if I were to dress up as Abraham Lincoln for Halloween, that would be in poor taste.
No, it's not too soon.
If I were just as Muhammad Ali for Halloween, is that in poor taste?
We're talking heroes. Steve Jobs.
Yes,
hero.
but only because you're white.
Ooh. I don't know how we feel about that one.
True.
Next topic.
That's
No, I think do we have to say something about these Steve Jobs guys? They looked incredible. It was such a nicely coordinated costume, and they're all just sitting there.
I don't know.
It's such a what the fuck moment just to pan over and be like, the hell?
Was that picture
Those guys-
was that picture planned? Did they tell them that they were taking that picture, or did they just stand there the
I
entire
think they
game
were
like
just
that?
there ready. I really do. I think they were just there and they were ready. That's some incredible planning. Good on them.
Not gonna lie, the best part of the picture was easily the dude in the hoodie, who
That's
just
my
looked
friend.
Yes. just looked so disgusted with everything. I want to know what the score was because if that was when we were down 7-0, I understand it completely.
If it was at any other point in the game, why weren't you smiling?
Yeah.
He was responding to that on Twitter because he saw the tweets, and they were saying that low key the highlight was the guy in the corner. His name's Jordan. And he's like, low key, I am the photo. I think that's just such a great response because he does add so much to that picture, that screenshot that people keep using.
To be completely honest,
he just
that picture
wasn't having it.
That picture is nothing with just the Steve Jobs guys. You have to have somebody else who represents
set up.
The normal human
represents the
beings.
normal human being there, and what we're all thinking when we see that picture.
For the record, I know him and I know a few guys that were Steve Jobs, and I side with both of them.
Side with both of them.
I side with everybody involved.
Middleman Sean.
Go Steve Jobs. Go Notre Dame. Yeah.
Darsh.
One last stand.
Last one. The other video from this week was also not NC State.
No, also in the stands.
Also in the stands.
This one hurt. This one hurt to watch.
This one
You
did,
don't like to see this.
this one did hurt to watch.
I could feel like my own balls retracting up inside my body watching that video.
So the Barstool 5th year, shoot him a follow. Barstool 5th year at 5th year on Twitter.
You
They're
said fifth year enough times, you think?
I don't think so. At 5th year.
Fifth year.
Fifth year.
5th year.
Fifth year.
So they captioned it. Make sure you don't have a girlfriend in college. Rightfully so,
Fair.
because this dude looked like he was having the worst time. And I can tell you, you can see the scoreboard in the background. We were winning 28-14 at this point. So
This is a time to be happy, a time to be paying attention, rallying with the boys at the game. But she was fed up. We don't know why. I think we can all assume that it had something to do with him watching the game and not talking to her.
I actually saw an interesting theory on, I think it was on Instagram, someone commented. I think she was just really she wasn't thrilled with the fact that we weren't running the ball enough, and he disagreed. He said that we were up, time to let Wimbush air it out, and they were having a vehement disagreement about how Brian Kelly was running the offense.
I thought it was about how we weren't pressuring the quarterback enough on defense.
Fair enough, could have been that.
But the problem with that is that we were.
But not enough.
Not enough.
Also, I think we were on offense at the time of the play. I'm not positive. We'll have to check
Don't
the tape
quote
on
me.
that one.
Not positive.
These are internet theories we're airing out.
To be
Conspiracy
completely
theories.
honest, that play could have been during Josh Adams' 77-yard touchdown. She really just ruined it for the
It might have
boyfriend.
been. It looked like somebody was streaking down the field.
I heard a lot of cheers.
I think it literally might have been the duck. Whips dude, if you're out there, if you see this, we'd love to have you on the show to talk about what was going on.
And
Whipper,
why
Whipper,
your life
we're
is
not
the
sure.
way it is.
Yeah.
Why is your life the way it is?
Yeah, that's a rough look.
You don't love to see it. Bad optics.
Especially when your boy's out there running for 202 yards. Sorry, don't want to give him too much.
Don't want to
credit.
inflate the stats.
Don't want to give him too much credit.
PSU
Say one hit.
PSU would be down our throats if we inflate the stats.
Yeah.